Starting live video. We're good. Hi. Thank you for joining us for the latest weekly live stream from SilviaFindings, our Wednesday weekly live stream. This is our 53rd, 54th, something, 50-ish thing, episode. And we're continuing on this week with earring findings. We've done pendants, we've done rings, we've done pendants and rings. We're on the earrings now. Mostly today what we'll be doing is earring settings, not so many, stone setting, basket settings, prong settings, bezel settings, those kind of things. Mostly pinch bails. Because it's just not fun without some pinch bails. But having said that, let me just do a little bit of house cleaning. Remember that if you place orders during the live stream, you'll get 10% off the regular retail prices and free regular mail shipping. So that doesn't include tracking or any of that kind of stuff. That's all extra. If you share this video, we'll send you one of these beautiful polishing cloths. And I feel like it happened like once or twice where people shared it, but we couldn't figure out who they were. So just let us know if you share it, or don't. We'll track you down. We'll figure out something. If you have any questions about anything, anything jewelry related. Boy, I've been answering questions about all kinds of weird stuff this week. Soldering questions, just, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. Casting, we have a customer who was interested in making this crazy big Cuban link chain, but she wanted to make literally a kilo of gold, which when I did the math was an ungodly amount of money, but hey, whatever. And she was interested in how she wanted a mold to make that ring, but wasn't familiar with the casting process. And I went through and explained how casting is done and how, we would be able to do it and how we would have to do the individual links. And you can't cast a chain in one mold, like pour all the gold into one mold and doing, and here's the chain. How you have to do the links individually and then solder them all together. Although traditionally Cuban chains are not made that way. They're made, by making the links and then twisting the links and then filing the links flat and stuff, which is just a whole lot more work. You can actually cast the individual links themselves, which is what she's going to do. My whole point is that during this conversation, she's like, okay, well, what gear do I have to do to be able to do my own casting? So we went through a whole list of supplies, none of which we sell. We don't sell casting tools. But she's going to buy a mold. We're going to make her a mold, and she's going to do the casting, and she's going to do, from playing with molten metal in her garage, now she's going to have a casting studio. So, it was awesome to be able to help her do that, to achieve that dream, I guess. I really want to see that chain when it's done. Just the idea of a 14 karat gold 1 kilo Cuban link chain. That's just like, it's an ungodly amount of gold. It's just so ridiculously expensive. But hey, who's to say? I don't judge. Jewelry is jewelry. Everybody has their own thing, right? Shipping is going good. I know I normally like to dunk on Canada Post, so I'm not going to do that a lot, just a little bit, because I can't not do it because they suck. Just saying. But we're doing okay, or we're doing as good as we always had been. It's still taking, 10 days to 2 weeks to ship stuff from the West Coast to the East Coast. Into the U.S., everything is just peachy. Packages are flowing, beautifully. There's no really seem to be any kind of delays. Europe is still kind of hit or miss, or I should say France is still kind of hit or miss. Because the only postal service I like worse than Canadian postal service is the French postal service. Yeah. Royal Mail in Britain is also not high on my list of esteemed postal services, but whatever. They're still not bad. They still get their packages eventually. Yeah, having said that, everything else is great. We had a package that was delivered into the Netherlands in 10 days. Literally quicker than it would take me to send something from here in Vancouver to Halifax, which is on the other side of the country. In the same country. Anyway, but like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time ragging on Canada Post because that gets boring, right? We've also been doing, God, just a ton of custom, work, which is just awesome. So just to recap, custom services, we can do anything. We can do our 3D. See that little orange thing there? That's the top of our 3D printer. We do 3D print services now where we can print you a castable resin copy of something if you design something yourself using a 3D program, jewelry program, whatever. Or anything. It doesn't have to be jewelry. It could be, Iron Man's jetpack or whatever. I don't know, whatever you want to make. What was popular? Dice, like a D20 dice. Not important to know why I know that. Neither here nor there, but that's pretty popular. We don't do all the colors like some of those people do. I think the casting resin that we're using right now is green. Oh, look at. I have a bunch of pieces here. Right? So these are the that's the color they come out. Yeah, and we can do that. We can do. Golly, we have a new machine that does metal testing where it's a X-ray fluorescence thing, so we can use that machine to test what alloys or what elements are in the alloys that are in the thing. So if you want to know, how if something is sterling or gold, if something is 14 karat, 18 karat gold, we'll be able to tell you. What else? But I think custom is kind of the most popular thing that we do. So if you have a stone that you like, if you can send it to us, even better, because we also have a 3D scanner that we can scan the stone and then use that to do the designs. But if you have an idea for something, or you like a piece of jewelry that we have, but your stone doesn't fit and you'd like us to redo it for that other stone size, you think we can do it. And I know that it's controversial to say, but I don't think, and golly, I guess it seems self-serving for me to say it, but I don't think you'll be able to find it a less expensive option anywhere for a custom jewelry. It's just, it doesn't work. We have this concept streamlined to the point to within an inch of its life, to the point where now we can, not do it. Obviously, it takes some guidance, to get it through the process. But the process is streamlined enough now that, yeah. Right, okay, moving right along. Let me just go and thing, and I'm going to show you, like I said, a bunch of findings here as we go, continuing our cataloging process of all of our products, all of our 6,000 products, I think it is. We have a couple more weeks of earring settings before we move on to something else. But so as I go through, I'm going to show you the item, the pinch bales don't really have setting sizes per se. I guess there are technically, if you have a stone that's, or a cabochon or a piece of whatever that's thicker than X, that wouldn't fit, we might be able to get that information for you. But otherwise, it's just, look at how cool these things are, how they work, that kind of stuff. But I'm going to give you two prices for everything. First is a retail price, and then there's a wholesale price. To get the wholesale price, you have to be registered on the website. So whichever website you're doing, if it's SilviaFindings or if it's DIYjewelry.com, either way, just find the wholesale button and find the wholesale login screen, and then there's a little box that say not registered yet. Click on that link in there and then fill out the form, and then you get verified really quick, like normally within the hour. Although I hate to say that, I promise I didn't have somebody be, hey, it was 90 minutes, and thing and stuff. It'll be quickly. It'll be soon. And then once you're registered, you can log back into the website, and then you'll see the mirror site that has all the wholesale prices. Now, to get the wholesale prices, the only criteria is that you need to spend $150 in Canadian dollars, right? $150 at the wholesale price. So if something is $15 retail, but $10 wholesale, and you bought 10 of those things, right? And the retail price is $15, so it would be $150 retail. You wouldn't get the wholesale price, right? Then you'd have to buy 15 of them so that the $10 wholesale price reaches $150 to get the wholesale price. Does that make sense? I think I used really, really bad numbers to make that make sense, but yeah. Anyway, so it's $150 at the wholesale price level to get the wholesale prices. I know that sometimes people end up with their orders in this weird nether region where it's more than $150 retail, but not reached $150 wholesale. And there's a weird, area where if you spend more money, it'll cost less. Just, you'll figure it out. Oh boy. I always get it. And people get freaked out sometimes when I try to explain that to them. It's like, hey, look, if you just spend like $20 more at the wholesale price, you'll be able to get, the wholesale price for everything instead of paying retail, and it'll be cheaper. And they're like, wait, what? And they think I'm trying to sell them something. Our first item, EW103S, with a retail price of $12.48 and a wholesale price of $7.49. These are great ear wires with a very cool kind of swooping, almost like one of those political awareness ribbons, right? Only not quite as long on the tails, with the pinch bail posts inside there, right? You can see that. So you can put that would look good with a bead or with anything, any kind of a stone or something with a hole in it. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. Focusing thing. And then we have a little bit different version of that, a little bit wider, EW110 with a retail price of $16.64 and a wholesale price of $10.40. And those prices are for pair, right? Even though if I only show you one, that just means that only one fit in the little display box. But if you wear it by the pair, we figured the least we could do is sell it to you by the pair. And, right, and so this is just a little bit wider version of that last one, right? That nice, with the posts. We have those pushed in, but, right? And, when you're doing these kinds of pinch bails with the posts, generally I like to measure how wide the hole is, right? How wide the piece is where the hole is, and then divide that by 2, and then cut the little posts down so they're a little bit less than half the price, so that they don't meet up exactly evenly in the middle, right? They don't touch each other when they meet. There's a little bit of a gap between them, And people worry about the security of these kind of pinch bails, right? But even because they're just pulled open and you just push them closed and that's it. It's not like there's no glue, there's no prongs or anything like that. But if you think about how this works, right? This kind of traditional pinch bail, all of the weight, right? Once you got this, your cabochon or whatever in there, your carving, your whatever. What is that? Furnace glass, right? What do they call that? Oh boy, I'm drawing a blank. Fused glass, right? although normally it's a little bit thicker than that, most fuselage. But anyway, all of the weight on that is pulling straight down, right? So all of the weight is perpendicular to the plane of the hole. So it's virtually impossible for this to for the prongs to be pulled away from each other from inside the thing. No matter how hard you pull down, that's going to distribute the weight evenly along the whole, curvature of the setting, and you'll end up probably breaking jump ring or something before you pull that open. Unless somebody physically gets in there and pulls the two pieces apart, then it's all over. But how often does that happen? Probably never. I love this EW034 with a retail price of $13.52 and a wholesale price of $8.45. And it's just a lovely, component with, I don't know what that is, kind of, I feel like it's like Tibetan waves almost. Don't know why it seems like that to me, but that's what it evokes in my mind, with a simple pinch bail down at the bottom, right, for your dangly things to hang from. Here's another one. This is just an ear wire. I don't know why that's in there. It's a little bit of a weird place. EW749 for $7.98 a pair for the retail price, and $4.99 a pair as a wholesale price. Now this, as it presents itself, would just look like this, right, coming out of your ear, right? So this is the part, obviously, that goes through your ear. And then there's a pinch bail down at the back here that you could pinch your, thing into, right? Whatever stone you're putting in there. And it would just look like that with the piece, hanging off the back. Very cool, very cool, very versatile. Golly, you could put just about anything in there. Here's another kind of a interesting. This is, I don't know, sort of a, whether you're more interested in the pinch bail or in the lever back, right? This is a, right, so that goes into your ear, and then this goes across the back of your earlobe and locks in. It clicks in, right? Make that nice and tight. That's what gets presented out the front of your ear. And then the little pinch bail down at the back, right, or down at the bottom. These kind of, they're almost like backward lever backs. I find them like super secure. Not that I wear many earrings myself, but from a jeweler fabrication perspective, these are super secure. More secure than like a regular ear wire. Although these are very cool. EW744 with a retail price of $11 and a wholesale price of $6.86. And this has got that lovely big chunky ear wire, right? That comes out the front. So this obviously goes into the back. You'd probably want a rubber stopper or something on the back of that, because they're not super tall. They won't dig into your neck, which is a nice thing, but I'd put a rubber stopper or something on there just so it doesn't inadvertently, it feels like this might be a little bit more easy to accidentally pull out of your ear than it would. But this is a nice big chunky ear wire with a pinch bail down at the bottom, right? You can see that. Very cute, very lovely. Now we've got a couple of interesting things with chains on them. Whoops. EW025 with a retail price of $4.50 a pair and a wholesale price of $2.82 a pair. And this is just a regular, old ear wire with a flattened curve and a spring, right? And then there's a length of chain here that's about almost 40 millimeters or so, about an inch maybe, with the jump ring down on the bottom. So dangles, already pre-made. No need to, find the chains and jump rings to make them work. These jump rings are closed, by the way, too. So just makes it super easy to complete a project that you want. Here's another kind of dangly thing, but these are obviously, it's just an earring post, right? That you can put this in your ear and then put it back on this. Or I've seen this where this part is pulled directly through the ear and then this is kind of dangled off, you know, front and back. Because this you know, piece of box chain is pretty long, probably like 4 inches, 5 inches, if we're using imperial measurements. Off the top of my head, what that is in millimeters, I don't know. There's a little pinch bail down at the bottom of those. You know, it's yeah, ES255, $967 is the retail price, $605 is the wholesale price. That's a pair, and these are 4 inches long, right? So these ear threaders, I guess, you know what the people call them. I've seen them where people pull them right through, and then there's kind of like a piece dangling off the front and then dangling off the bottom of your ear, for whatever. And it's a cool look. So we have those. No need to make your own, to solder your own things on there. And I'm not sure you can. I haven't seen those anywhere else, so I don't know. I'm sure somebody sells them, but ES05 with a retail price of $572 and a wholesale price of $428. This is a similar idea, different chain, obviously. This is not the kind that you could pull through your ear, but it's just earring. Well, maybe you could. I don't know. What are you people putting through their earlobes these days? I've seen gauges that are monstrously long. Anyway, this length of chain is probably 2 inches, inch and a half, maybe. Inch and a half or 2 inches, and then there's a little, you know, ring down at the bottom of that, little jump ring down at the bottom to connect whatever you're going to connect to that. Here's more of that box chain, I guess, ear threader style things. These one is ES06 with a retail price of $612 and a wholesale price of $382, and I guess 74 millimeters. That's how long that is. For you imperial people, is probably 2 inches. And again, this you can either you know, put this through your ear and then put it back on that, or pull this all the way through your ear and have that dangling off the other side, like a ear threader is what they're called. And here's another one. ES02 with a retail price of $807 and a wholesale price of $504. And this is another 70 millimeters one. Oh, these ones have backs on them. Oh, right. So the ring is actually attached to the back. So you can put that in your earring, put the back on, and the ring is attached to the back. Why? I don't know. It's cool. Is that a good enough reason? I think it is. I don't know what you would do. How would you would use that? Probably dangling something from, you know, inside that loop. I don't know. I found it's best not to ask how people use your stuff and just let them figure it out on their own, because people invent ways to use things that are not as intended, and those always tend to be the way more interesting way to use the things that we make. Here's another kind of simple ear wire with a length of chain, 50 millimeter length of chain, and a little pinch bail down at the bottom. EW743 with a retail price of $707 and a wholesale price of $442. Yeah, simple, classic. These are nice dangling. They're not super long. You know, it's long enough that it's provides a bit of elegance and movement to the thing, but not so long that they become like what they call shoulder dusters, you know. And boy, you could see putting a nice, you know, crystal point, you know, with a hole drilled through the tip off that, or anything, you know, any of those briolets, you name it. You could put anything in there, and it would look so cool. I think a briolet would look nice. Now you're saying, but Mark, what is a briolet? You know what it is. brioles are just like, I know you've seen them if you've done any amount of jewelry making. It's just like a teardrop stone with a hole drilled sideways through the tip of the stone, right? So it's normally a teardrop shaped stone, faceted, kind of flat with a hole drilled sideways through it. That's briole. I think that would look gorgeous on one of these things. Here's another EW038 with a retail price of $10.86 a pair and a wholesale price of $8.32. This is just a regular ear wire with a, the flattened side and a coil, a little length of chain, probably an inch or so. And then there's a lovely decorated pinch bail with some cubic zirconias, kind of arranged in like a butterfly, right? There's the front. And there's the back. The back actually is a little sterling butterfly. I don't know if you could see that motif there. And then the pinch bail. Just pull that open so you can see the points. Oh, right. The little dips there. And here's a really good example, right? You might look at this thing and then say, oh man, those are too short. There's no way that's going to hold my stone. And really, it doesn't really matter how much longer these would be if these went through, because again, all of the weight, all of the force of the stone is going to be, pushing or pulling, because there's gravity pulling down. Well, I guess you could call it pushing. It's pulling down perpendicular to the plane of these loops. So unless the stone you put in here is heavy enough to bend those prongs, the posts, and even if they would be, there's the strength of that perpendicular angle is a lot stronger than the strength of that piece of wire itself. So if you just took a thing and bent the end of the piece of wire, yeah, you can bend it pretty easily. It's just sterling silver. But if you held a piece of metal right up against the side there and tried to pull down, the strength of the weld, gets added to the strength of the silver. So it makes it super, super secure. Right, so... Because I know some people don't like these pinch bails because they're afraid that their stones are going to pop out. And really, boy, in order for the stones to pop out, somebody has to get in there and physically molest your findings there, right? If that's even a good word to use for that. EW747 with a retail price of $11.23 and a wholesale price of $7.02. These are, God, I just love these giant ear wires with a pinch bail on the bottom, right? So these are 24 millimeters, I guess, from top to bottom is what it said, right? Something like that, yeah. So it's 24 millimeters tall. Obviously, this part that goes through your ear. This is what it presents like in the front. Just that simple, lovely sterling pointed drop thing. And then there's your pinch bail, right, to put your thing in the bottom. So whatever you dangle off that is just going to be super elegant. Depending on where the hole is in your piece, your piece might only land about this high, right, in your piece, or higher, I guess, depending on if you were doing it from scratch. You could drill the hole wherever you want it to be on that piece, and it would work. And I just love that because it's a super simple way to do it. Not a lot of movement, if you want to highlight the stones. Not so much the whole function of the earring. Here's another one that's really cool. EW589 with a retail price of $24.64 and a wholesale price of $15.41. This is just, again, another ear wire, regular ear wire, with a pinch bail, right? Got these two little kind of flowery caps, right, with the pinch bail inside. It opens up. You trim those down to whatever size you needed them to be. And right, and then that hangs like this. So the stone in the front, boy, if you were a lamp worker and you made your own beads, this would be an awesome way to sell your beads. Right, just put them in a little pinch bail post like that, and boom, and there you go. And the nice thing about these big, long I don't know, sides of this component is that you could bend these at a little bit of an angle, right? If you have, rondelle beads, right, that are pretty tall, you can, pull those over the tops of the beads, as long as the the side from the hole to the side of the thing isn't longer than that. But yeah, I love that for lamp work beads, which it's kind of a fun thing to do if you've never done it. Playing with molten glass, I don't know, because it feels like it's one of those things that you shouldn't be able to do, but it's just kind of really cool when you play with it. EW 750 with a retail price of $15.64 and a wholesale price of $9.78. I'm going to make a controversial statement here. Lampwork bead making, glass bead making, where you do it on a rod of steel with a clay on the outside, and you melt the glass on the outside, and you can do whatever. It's kind of a simple thing to learn how to do, but it's super hard to do well, so people will say, oh, it's really hard, as as long as you follow a few safety things, like not sticking your hand in the flame of the torch, and just remembering that glass is a really, really poor conductor of heat, so that something that was hot 5 minutes ago is probably still really hot enough to burn you, right? It doesn't dissipate heat really well. EW 750 with a retail price of $15.64 and a wholesale price of $9.78. This is just a lovely component with a big cubic zirconia in there and a pinch bail hanging off the bottom, right? Kind of simple, kind of elegant. A little bit of extra bling for your piece. Anyway, getting back to the bead making. It's not a difficult thing to learn how to do, but it's a difficult thing to do really well. It's just working with gravity and thing. If you've ever, pulled honey out of a jar with one of those, like a wooden, or even a spoon, and you have to turn the spoon to keep the honey on the spoon, right? That kind of gravity trick is 90%, or not 90%, we'll call it 50% of good bead making technique is learning how to do that. Oh boy. Don't add me, I'm going to be in so much trouble with bead makers here. Here's a lovely tall ear wire, that fancy ear wire with a teardrop bedecked with cubic zirconias all around in kind of a row there, and just a simple pinch bail down at the bottom, right? So that's a lovely framing of your fused glass, or, whatever, semi-precious carving with a pinch bail down at the bottom. EW 751 with a retail price of $13.82 and a wholesale price of $8.63. This is just another, kind of a simple pinch bail, but it's got some cubic zirconias in the side and the bottom of that, right? Very cool. Not in the back, but just in the front. Because really, that's where all the bling has to happen, right? On the front. This is a pretty good size pinch bail, so depending on how thick your piece is, you can get a pretty tall piece in there, or pretty far away or if the hole is pretty far away from the edge. Whoops, I'm a little bit too far down. Right, so you can see that. Really super versatile, and just super blingy. I just love those pinch bail effects. And EW 748 with a retail price of $9.22 and a wholesale price of $5.76. This is another symbol. This has got kind of another chunky ear wire, not as chunky as the other one that I showed you, but still very cool, very non-traditional, right? Pretty wide thing. I just love that big solid ear wires. Oh, the loop on that is bent because it's been sitting in the tray there. Whoops. Anyway, right, that lovely pinch bail on the side, just a little traditional pinch bail. And if you have any questions about anything, if you're looking at something on the website and you want to know, Mark, my piece is 6 millimeters wide, and the stone I'm using is 6 millimeters wide, and the hole is 4 millimeters away from the edge. you know, will this pinch bail work? You know, just let me know. Send me an email and I'll measure it and find out. Because there's nothing more agonizing than buying something and getting it home and then trying to put the stone on it and finding it doesn't fit. EW708 with a retail price of $9.26 and a wholesale price of $5.79. Is again another spiritual cousin to that other tall ear wire that we had before, right? Just a nice big ear wire with a very cool golly, you know, it's kind of just like a curve. I kind of call it like a tentacle or an upside down wave or something. I just love that kind of curly Q pattern inside there. And there's a pinch bail for whatever you want to hang in there, right? Now we've got a couple of earring components that are kind of in an incongruous place here in the trays here. I don't know why these are in here, but these are just simple, you know, earring components or whatever, necklace components. You could use them however you want. You've got those two little, that shape on the side. It's a pretty common filigree shape. I call them kidney beans, although some people call them cashews or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, with a couple little loops. EW705 with a retail price of $6.59 a pair and a wholesale price of $5.07 a pair. I guess these are considered to be earrings because they're components with loops on the tops and the bottoms of them, I guess. Here's another one if you want to do like kind of like a chandelier earring, right, kind of thing, or maybe attach an ear wire there and a couple of lengths of chain with some beads down at the bottom, or I don't know, whatever you want. You can do whatever you want with these things, or you can use them as a multi-strand clasp, right, for a bracelet or something. Right, so you have your multi-strands coming out of here, and then this is where you would connect the clasp on either end, right? EW697 with a retail price of $5.10 a pair and a wholesale price of $3.93 a pair. And then the last one of these in the tray, EW704 with a retail price of $3.85 a pair and a wholesale price of $2.96 a pair. And these are a little more angular, kind of. Let me just turn that around. Separate them. So it's got a kind of a cute, I don't know what you'd call that, sort of like a, almost like a, it's like a wannabe Celtic pattern, or half of a Celtic pattern, with a 2-to-1 loop or 1-to-2 loop or whatever, however you want to call it. And that's that, little earring components. EW102 with a retail price of $25.90 and a wholesale price of $15.81. This, oh God, I just love these. You know me, anything with lots of bling, and boy, sign me up. So it's a regular old ear wire, right? And any of these ear wires, you know, maybe next week I'll do a couple trays of ear wires, because we've got like, golly, like 50 different kinds of ear wires, and you can always replace these with, you know, any of those kind of things. So we've got the ear wire and this lovely component here at the top with cubic zirconias in there, days all the way through, and we've got that just a regular standard pinch bail down at the bottom, right? All right. And this EW102 with a retail price of $25.90 a pair and a wholesale price of $15.81, and that definitely just adds a little bit of bling to your, you know, to your earrings, your pinch bail. And okay, moving on to another tray, EW031 with a retail price of $12.19 and a wholesale price of $9.22. This is just a lovely teardrop ear wire with that scalloped pinch bail down at the bottom, right? That's kind of like a classic pinch bail that we have. And the ear wires are nice and tall on this, with a teardrop down at the bottom, bedecked with cubic zirconias. And did I say the SKU and the price and all that? EW031 with a retail price of $12.19 and a wholesale price of $9.22. Our next item, EW035 with a retail price of $8.32 and a wholesale price of $6.27. And it's just an ear wire with a little simple kind of a twisted wire ovally component, right? And the pinch bail down at the bottom. Kind of simple, kind of elegant. Always room for that kind of thing. EW101 with a retail price of $16.37 and a wholesale price of $10.91. This another ear wire with, I just love this. This is this is gonna make me a little bit crazy, because I guess technically it's meant to be a treble clef, or what they call a G clef or thing, except that it's like a mirror image. It's backwards. And it should be facing the other way, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Or it could just be kind of like an interesting curly-Q design with a little cubic zirconia down at the bottom, right? Nice wide pinch bail for whatever you want in there. And yeah, I thought maybe there was a left and a right, but they're both facing that way, which if it's a G clef, it's a mirror image, but that's neither here nor there. Or a treble clef, I guess, is what most people call it. It's called the G clef because the little part that makes a little circle that goes around sort of thing is centered around the G on the grand staff, the musical staff. That line, the second line from the bottom where that thing goes around, is G. There's a little musical knowledge for the day. EW045 with a retail price of $13.94 and a wholesale price of $8.71. And if you've ever seen a bass clef, right, it's another kind of like a big circle with two little dots. That pattern, that little curly, this swirl, is actually an old German F, like Frank, and the two little dots are arranged around the second to the top line on the bass side of the grand staff, which is F, which is why it's an F, and why a treble clef is actually a G clef, because it's around the G. Neither here nor there. Nice big wide ear wires tapered to a little point with a bunch of cubic zirconias in there, and that becomes a pinch bail, right? Very versatile. Classic. Did I say this? EW045 with a retail price of $13.94 and a wholesale price of $8.71. Boy, the little pieces of knowledge you've picked up over the years. EW119 with a retail price of $17 and a wholesale price of $11.23 a pair. This again, another nice big ear wires with that teardrop, right? That's kind of like an open teardrop, and just a regular old pinch bail down at the bottom, right? These are kind of scooped out on the back, so they're not super heavy. Very classic, very elegant. Yeah, I guess, well, I say elegant, but I guess it really depends on what you put in that pinch bail. You could put all kinds of weird stuff in there. EW585 with a retail price of $11.64 and a wholesale price of $8.72. This, I will admit, I'm not super familiar with this one. This is, what is this? Oh, I guess it's just a regular old setting for a pear-shaped stone. Nice dimensions of the pear. 25, there's no way that's 25.5 by. So I guess if you're interested, email me and I'll figure out what the dimensions are for the pear-shaped stone you want to put in there. But it looks to me, off the top of my head, that it's something like 6 or 8 by 15 or so, maybe tall. It's got that little chevron prong at the top and the 2 little prongs down at the bottom with that cubic zirconia. Lovely flourishes down the side, framing that up, and all dangled from a little ear wire. Now, I think a lot of these coming up are just ear wires or ear wire adjacent items. This one, EW714, with a retail price of $12.87 a pair and a wholesale price of $8.58 a pair. Just a lovely tapered drop with a pinch bail down at the bottom, right? Front and back are kind of a mirror image of themselves. And this is just a nice big, chunky ear wire to dangle your stones off of. Pinch bail already assembled. Here's another kind of interesting version of that. A little bit taller ear wires with the pinch bails just kind of flaring out on the side. EW514 with a retail price of $12.66 and a wholesale price of $8.10 a pair. Right? I can open that up just to show you what the front looks like. Right? So it kind of tapers out to a wide or flares out to a wide drop down at the bottom. And yeah, I love that swooping flare out for that thing. So you probably couldn't put something that was super tall in there, but if it was pointy, that'd be awesome. Like a briolet. I know I keep suggesting briolets for these things, but they work great on these. And or obviously, if you're cutting your own stones, if you're a lapidary, then you cut whatever you like. EW117 with a retail price of $16.38 and a wholesale price of $10.69. This, again, another ear wire with a very, kind of looks like leaves inside there. Right, little bamboo leaves inside that big oval pinch bail. Super interesting. It takes the right kind of stone to make that work, though. EW592 with a retail price of $15.86 and a wholesale price of $11.10. Just another regular old ear wire with gorgeous big wide pinch bail there. That's a classic. Nice and thick, nice and big wide. This is when you want the pinch bail to be, serious, but you don't want it to look serious, right? You don't want it to be like super annoyingly huge. Nice and big, nice and sturdy. But we have EW500 with a retail price of $18.47 and a wholesale price of $11.54. And these are another pinch bail. This is a super tall one, though. Right, so it's a regular ear wire, again, flattened with the coil. And then the front and the back of the pinch bail are these little kind of flowery motifs, right? Everything. They don't have cubic zirconias in them or anything. It's just that little silver dot. But these open up. But this is like super tall. So you could probably get away if you had like a 30 millimeter donut, right? Or pie bead or whatever they call them. You can probably get away with putting that in here and having the whole stone be on that. But I'm thinking of like fused glass, right? Where you have sometimes you have to put the hole really far away from the edge. That would be super versatile for these kind of things. And this, it's hard to tell, because there's nothing to look at for scale. But I would say the distance between the posts and the top of the curve is probably like 3/4 of an inch, maybe almost a full inch. So 20 millimeters, 25 millimeters. thinking. Super versatile. EW024 with a retail price of $14.25 and a wholesale price of $11.32. Here's another ear wire with a lovely teardrop component, or not a teardrop, but a cat's eye shape, I guess, or what's the word we use? There's a fancy word for it. Can't remember off the top of my head. Well, anyway, with a row of cubic zirconias up one side and some dots up the other side, holding the little pinch bail in there, right? And again, that's another, kind of a small, sort of a classic pinch bail shape. It's bugging me that I can't remember the name of that shape. But I use it sometimes on the website to make myself sound super smart. EW022 with a retail price of $16.58 and a wholesale price of $11.60. That's another kind of that same chunky ear wire, only this one has a bunch of cubic zirconia set in it, right? With just a lovely standard chevron tipped pinch bail there, right? Can't go wrong with that. So that one is EW022 with a retail price of $16.58 and a wholesale price of $11.60. Our next item are these lovely, oh God, I just love this. Is it a heart or is it a snail? What is it? It's both or neither. To me, that's just a snail that's really, really in love. Little component with a pinch bail down on the top. Sorry, I had to go there. Very cute, very interesting component. EW584 with a retail price of $14.99 and a wholesale price of $11.25 a pair. And just go back here. ES256 with a retail price of $12.48 a pair and a wholesale price of $7.80. Now, you might have noticed that these all these earrings, they all start with E something, EW or ES, right? So EW just means the earring with ear wire, and the ES means ear stud. So that just means that it has a post instead of an ear wire, right? So this is just a little earring post component with a star with a big cubic zirconia in there. And then this giant, lovely, very simple pinch bail, right? And that's, just pull these away from each other. Again, super versatile. It's made with, what is that, probably 18 gauge wire. I mean, it's not made with 18 gauge wire, but it's cast. But it's probably that thick, about 1 millimeter wide thick. So you could probably bend this into whatever shape you needed to make it work for your stone, right? So super versatile with a nice simple star earring post. Put those in there so they don't bend. Oh well, too bad. We're getting there. EW03, see, I knew it was EW because of the ear wire. EW037 with a retail price of $17.33 and a wholesale price of $10.83. And again, just a lovely ear wire with a little bow tie, cubic zirconia bow tie, right? With the two little trillium stones. Love that. Very cool. And just a plain little cubic zirconia, or a little plain little pinch bail in the front. Right. People ask me, how far can you pull open the pinch bail and what's the best way to do it? And let me tell you the best way to do it, because this is just I'm just going to do this. EW023 with a retail price of $6.45 and a wholesale price of $4.03. And here's the best way to do it. It might be a little bit different if you're doing this with crystal or with semi-precious stones that are super brittle. crystal is just leaded glass, right? So it's a glass with a really, really high content of lead, and that makes it super shiny, super sparkly, but it also makes it real brittle. So I would take this, if this is going to be, say, the front, right? All right, so this side is going to be the front. I would take the back down until you can get the hole to meet inside there, and then once you get the hole inside there, just kind of push that down and make that thing. You might be able to tweak it with a pair of nylon jaw pliers or something to pull them closed again. Again, ideally, you don't want the pegs to be exactly the width of the hole so that they meet in the center of the hole. You want to have a little bit of a gap between those two, the ends of the posts. And that's just so that you can make the sides of the pinch bail flush up against the side of your stone. You can't really do that if the two ends of the posts are meeting in the center. EW 132 with a retail price of $25.53 and a wholesale price of $15.95. And again, this is just a lovely ear wire with a clover, I guess, component, 4-leaf clover, maybe, I don't know, kind of maybe sort of a cross-ish component, inside of a ring with a little pinch bail dangling off the bottom, right? So this loop and the thing are separate, right? So that hangs inside but not inside, if that makes sense. Very cool. EW 132 with a retail price of $25.53 and a wholesale price of $15.95. We're getting there. We're close to the end. EW 020 with a retail price of $15.78 and a wholesale price of $12.49. This lovely tall ear wire that becomes a row of cubic zirconias down on the bottom, right? With that lovely wide flare, and just a simple pinch bail down at the bottom. Like a lot of these are just very cool ear wires that you can use, that have the little pinch bail attached on the bottom of it. It's just I think you can also just take the pinch bail off and use the ear wires for whatever you want, because some of these are just super cool. EW 593 with a retail price of $20.45 and a wholesale price of $15.91. Let me see the ear wires. Oh, the leaves are the ear wires. That's so cool. I don't think I've ever pulled these out of the package before to look closely at them. So, right, it's just a lovely, nice big tall ear wire. Definitely wouldn't need a rubber stopper on this. This would dangle, holds that leaf in the front, that little holly leaf with that cute little pinch bail down at the bottom. Very cool. I'm going to leave this one out because I had no idea those were so long. Very cool. Our next item, EW111 with a retail price of $20.98 and a wholesale price of $13.43. This is another ear wire with that cute little, circular dangle with a bunch of cubic zirconias and kind of like making a circle around the halo around the outside. Not really a halo, but you get what I mean. Cute little square component on the inside with a little pinch bail down on the bottom. Can't go wrong. Simple, elegant. Having this, I always like to point this out because it makes a huge difference when you have loops at the top and the bottom, right? Connections where this connects to the ear wire and then this connects to the thing. Having that extra loop in there, like if this were connected to the ear wire in one piece, or this were connected to the pinch bail in one piece, it would move a lot less. Having that extra link in there kind of like exponentially ups the amount of movement you have on that thing. So definitely really super dynamic rings, earrings you got there. EW 745 with a retail price of $13.10 and a wholesale price of $8.19. This another ear wire, kind of like a spiritual cousin to one of the other ones we did, thing way back at the beginning, sort of like a shorter version of these, right? We've got these lovely tall ones, and these are those, they're just as wide down at the bottom, and I think that's probably the same pinch bail down, yeah, same pinch bail down the bottom, but it's just a little bit shorter, right? The ear wire is just a, you know, kind of a standard size, so you'd probably want to put a rubber post on the back of that, and just very simple, super elegant, nice big teardrops. ES 158 with a retail price of $17.75 and a wholesale price of $11.09. Right? Oh, and why are these ES if there's an ear wire on them? Oh, I'm gonna have to talk to the person who makes up the codes. I'm in so much trouble. So just a regular old ear wire, so that technically should be EW something, but I'm not going to, you know, go too far here. With a lovely, just a very simple pinch bail, nice wide triangular one, right? Obviously this would have to be, because of the way this hangs, you'd want to have something with the holes drilled sideways through the tip of your thing. Tip of your stone or whatever you're going to hang from there. Lovely. And the last one I'm going to show you today, that's a post, so that should also, there you go, ES01. I guess this is the first one we ever had. $10.34 is your retail price. $7.97 is the wholesale price. And this one, yeah, we have sold a lot of these, I must say. It's just a simple post, right, with a cubic zirconia in the top there, then about an inch of chain, and the very simple pinch bail on there. So lots of movement, just, you know, classic. I guess if you had something that was not huge, or something that's huge, you know, I don't know. Depending on how heavy the piece is that you would put them in the bottom of that, you'd probably want to get earring backs that are wider, because regular sized earring backs, you know, if you put something super heavy on that, that will end up pulling, you know, this down this and twisting your earlobe, you know, up. But if it's a nice big wide back on there, that provides a lot more support and keeps everything nice and straight, right? But you don't need me to tell that. That's like one of the oldest tricks in the jewelry maker's book, right? So again, ES01, $10.34 and $7.97 is the wholesale price for that one. Okay, let's come back to the world. Whoops. Oh, what have I done? I need to do that button. I'm good. Okay. Another Wednesday done. Another couple trays of earrings. These ones mostly, like I said, these were mostly all pinch bails. I think next week, like I said, I'm going to do just ear wires. And it was like, Mark, how can you possibly have that many ear wires that it'll take up a whole episode to fill them? And you'll see. We have so many different ear wires, things. And, you know, a lot of the times, you know, especially these kind of earrings, but even like just regular pendants, you know, people will get pendants for smallish stones, 8x10s, 10x12, maybe 4x6, you know, that kind of thing. And then they'll just, you know, snip the bail right off and put a big funky ear wire on there too, so they can have ear wires on there. I mean, that's not uncommon. And sometimes some of the pendants that we have, especially there are one or two that are really, really, you know, blingy, fancy sort of thing that, you know, as a pendant, it's cool, but as a pair of ear wires, it's just spectacular, you know, to see it, especially if you have a, you know, a very cool, you know, funky, non-traditional ear wire in there sort of thing. So the versatility is off the charts with this kind of stuff. But I've gone 6 minutes over, so I'm going to try to be quick in my post-amble, my closing remarks. Again, contact us if you have any questions about anything. Will my stone fit? How wide is that pinch bail? You know, how thick does my stone have to be to fit in this thing? Any questions about that, about any jewelry fabrication techniques that you're having trouble with, anything pertaining to stone setting, you know, well, I don't want to talk about it yet. Well, you think there'll be some help soon. On the website, we're going to put together a couple of videos of how to, showing you how to set stones and whatnot. That'll be soon. I hate saying that kind of stuff because then people are like, okay, well, when is it happening, Mark? Come on, when is it happening? And maybe soon, might be not. One thing that I should have said down at the beginning, the whole reason we're doing these things, these live stream events, obviously, is because because of the pandemic, all of the shows where we used to see everybody all the time have pretty much closed down, obviously. But now it looks like they're starting up again. I think we have one coming up in Vancouver in August. When? Maybe in Vancouver in August. Yeah, I guess depends on what local authorities say is good or not. But I know there's one definitely happening in Calgary also in August. And that for sure will happen because it's Calgary, it's Alberta. Oh my God, I'm going to get so much hate mail from Alberta right now, sort of thing. But pot meet the kettle. Thank you for joining us, and I'm just gonna bail now while I'm still in one piece. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. Take care of the planet. Take care of your mental health, and we will see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.